Unstable Games just finished their Kickstarter for their newest product, Command of Nature, and with it, their expansion, Sand and Wind expansion, which adds 2 new factions and sages to the game and some new mechanics, which we'll be going over right now. So it added 2 new factions, Sand and Wind. Works just like the old factions. We have your little board, there's your little guy, there's where you level up, your little coin purse. There's a little list of the actions you can do on your turn. And then it also comes, of course, with a little card for your sage. And they have the same ability as the other ones where they collect 3 gold. And then they each come with their own new little deck. I have new elemental warriors and elementals. And then a couple new command cards kind of specified for them. So along with the new factions is new mechanic. 2 new mechanics. So there's erosion and there's tailwind. So we'll be going over that in just a moment. But first off, they have the tokens here. You can see the tailwind token and the erosion token. And the erosion token has a 3 on the other side, and the tailwind doesn't, because you can only have 1 tailwind, and you can have multiple erosions. We'll go over that in a minute. And then here's their character token, which shows for the leveling. And of course, comes with a little rule book here, explanations as to how the new mechanics work, erosion and tailwind, and showing you what is all in the expansion. And also adds a bunch of new cards for the elemental market. So there's a bunch of new elemental warriors and basic elementals to throw into the elemental market for Sand and Wind. Now back to the new mechanic. So as I said, there's tailwind and there's erosion. There are certain cards in the wind deck that have abilities like this. Add 1 tailwind to a wind elemental in your formation. So then you would just add a tailwind token to that character. They can only have 1 on at a time. So if you use an attack, like a attack command card, with a character who has a tailwind token on, they can do another attack. So you would just basically spend the tailwind token. It would take it off that character, and then you would get to do another attack. It still costs another action point, but then basically you get to do 2 attacks in 1 turn with the same elemental. Now the erosions, as I said before, there's one side with 1, one side with 3, so you can have multiple erosions. And then erosions is something you put on your opponent's sages or opponent's elementals. So he has add 1 erosion to an elemental in your opponent's row 1. So you add erosions to your opponent, and then at the end of the turn, for how many ever erosions they have, they take 1 damage. And if they have shields, it would take away the shield instead. So it's basically another way to do damage to your opponent. You can stack them, and then there are other cards that when you add erosion to a card, it allows you to add erosion to a different card, so you can spread out the damage more and like really hit them. So that's the Command of Nature expansion, Sand and Wind. Adds 2 new factions, a couple new mechanics, a bunch of new cards for the elemental market. It's a really fun game, and you should definitely check it out. You want to learn how to play that game? You probably should have watched that one first. But if you haven't, you should go check it out. And then don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos.